As consumers, we are becoming more aware of the effects our shopping habits are having on the environment. We have seen a reduction in plastic in supermarkets with the introduction of BYO bags policies and labels that say biodegradable. Companies have seen what their customers want, and this has led some to resort to strategic marketing tactics, such as greenwashing. So is there a difference between an ethical product and a sustainable product? And what exactly is greenwashing? Hello friends, and welcome back to Seams Fabricated. I'm your host Lily, and on this podcast I expose the dirty laundry of the fast fashion industry and look at new approaches to old technology. Today's episode will be focusing on ethical and sustainable clothing and debunking the greenwashing campaigns that flood the shopping centres and our online market. Let's begin with sustainability. It's the buzzword every company is trying to incorporate into new products and marketing campaigns. If you're a little bit fuzzy on what a sustainable product is, let me explain. According to the Oxford Dictionary, sustainability is avoidance of the depletion of natural resources in order to maintain an ecological balance. Our Earth is extremely good at recycling. In every aspect of the natural world, we see seeds grow into new trees. Plants recycle carbon into oxygen. The water cycle provides fresh water. And even the seasons play a role in the natural cycle of life. Realistically, the Earth can continue to provide us with materials, oxygen, water, food, and everything we need forever. But the way and speed humans are currently using these resources is beyond the Earth's natural capacity. For example, we cut down about 15 billion trees per year, but only plant about 1.9 billion, leaving the planet at a deficit of about 13 billion trees every year. Meaning that if we continue chopping at this capacity, we will eventually run out of trees. Being sustainable would mean that we only take what is able to be replenished. So in which ways is the fashion industry unsustainable? I won't go into too many details because I could actually fill a whole episode on that alone, and I probably will in the future. But to give you an idea, here is a short list on how unsustainable the industry is. As I've discussed in previous episodes, the use of harsh chemicals, which makes its way back into the ecosystem, harming local wildlife, water, and food resources. It also uses extremely large amounts of fresh water. 10% of the world's carbon emissions come from the fashion industry. 800,000 tons of clothing end up in landfill every year. Synthetic fibers such as polyester are not biodegradable, and blended fibers are impossible to recycle. Clothing is created to last one season rather than a lifetime. Changing trends and poor quality clothes leads consumers to buy and use more than they actually need. Workers are paid unevenly and unfairly. Those at the bottom of the chain barely make a living, leading to ill health, unstable work, and poor living conditions, which no doubt contributes to more mistakes and wastage in the workplace. In contrast, there are so many new technologies and amazing brands taking on a whole new way of production. This is where I think it's important to understand what does make a product sustainable. Organically grown fibers such as cotton, linen, and bamboo are more environmentally friendly and are increasing in popularity. Organic means that no harmful pesticides were sprayed on the crops, saving local water supplies, soil, and air pollution, and making it safer for farmers. The use of single fiber fabrics makes it possible to recycle. For example, tags with 100% cotton or 100% polyester are able to be made into new fabrics if they're taken to the proper facilities at the end of their lifespan. Using recycled fibers means that clothing has been saved from landfill. Although the technology has a long way to go in being more sustainable during the actual process, it is a step in the right direction. Using more eco-friendly dyes and techniques. For example, ColorZen is using technology to pre-treat fibers before they are spun, reducing water and chemical usage by up to 90% during the dyeing process. Companies are also using lasers instead of chemicals to get a distressed look on things like denim. By designing a garment to last using quality fabrics and timeless design. Employing workers in all levels of production that have a healthy work environment and fair pay. The use of biodegradable and recyclable packaging, and employing carbon neutral shipping companies. Now we have a clear idea of what a sustainable brand looks out for. Let's discuss ethical clothing. Ethical manufacturing puts focus on the good health and safety of their workforce and implements fair compensation. I'm sure we are all familiar with the term sweatshop, but it seems like such a faraway reality that it couldn't possibly still exist in this day and age. Unfortunately, it does exist, and human rights violations are prevalent. For example, the use of child labour. 250 million children as young as 5 years old work in sweatshops. Forced labour. People are often forced to work overtime with no breaks to reach unrealistic timeframes. Lack of safety standards on buildings and in the workplace. The factory collapse in Bangladesh that killed over 1,000 people is a prime example of this. Not paid a living wage. Workers often spend all their money on food to feed their family and have not much left for education, clothing, safe housing, and retirement savings. Women are forced to take contraception, have regular pregnancy tests, pressured to have abortions, and are refused maternity leave. Environmental factors impact local communities by polluting waterways, contaminating local food, and creating serious health issues. Over 2 billion animals are killed for their skins and furs in the fashion industry every year. These are just some of the ethical issues within the fashion industry. Thankfully, many businesses are realizing the personal impacts this work structure has on real people and families, and companies are making changes. Some ways they are helping to alleviate the ethical issues in this industry are by sourcing materials from organic farms with strong ethical standards and no harmful chemical use. Paying a fair wage at every level of production, including any outsourced work. Frequently checking up on working conditions and safety standards, and making changes where necessary. Discarding of waste in a safe way. Having and keeping high standards for fair work hours, insurance, and compensation. Zero discrimination tolerance. Using no animal products. Ethics and sustainability really go hand in hand. It is ethical to be sustainable, and sustainable to be ethical. They can't truly exist without the other. When it comes to branding, companies tend to lean one way or the other. As new generations grow up in a world where climate change is a reality, we are more concerned about the planet than ever before, which has led to new amazing businesses, technologies, and jobs. Supporting these types of businesses means that you're supporting a cleaner future. No business is perfect. Perhaps a brand still has a high carbon emission, or because of a location cannot source specific items that might be more sustainable. But there are many that are worth supporting. Because of this influx in environmental awareness, larger companies have realized that us as consumers prefer to buy sustainable and ethical where possible, and have used marketing strategies to trick consumers into thinking their product is environmentally friendly. This is called greenwashing. In fact, nearly 60% of eco-friendly claims by the fashion industry have turned out to be false marketing. I've got some examples here, so strap in while I spill the tea. H&M has been exposed as one of the worst companies for greenwashing, with recent studies finding that 90% of their claims were false. An example of this is their Conscious collection, claimed to use organic cotton and recycled fibers, when the actual contents of the garments were found to have more harmful synthetic materials than their regular clothing line. Essentially, their eco-friendly line was even less eco-friendly. While ASOS has made considerable improvements over the years, and has planned to educate their designers to make more eco-friendly designs, the follow-through is falling short. They have been caught lying to their customers. Monomaterial means one type of material, which makes it possible to recycle. ASOS claimed to have made monomaterial jeans, but when the fabric composition was checked, it was made from 54% nylon and 46% polyester, a blended fabric which we currently do not have the technology to recycle. Not only that, but these synthetic fibers are among the most damaging to the environment. Urban Outfitters are definitely not alone in doing this, but their t-shirts kind of made me laugh out loud because of the irony. They featured slogans saying "Protect our planet" and "Save the wild," made from non-organic cotton, resulting in a multitude of pesticides sprayed onto crops to make that t-shirt. Another shirt, "There is no Planet B," claims to be made from recycled cotton and polyester, which is great. But now that the fibers are blended, this shirt cannot be recycled and is destined to landfill. It's really disappointing as a consumer to be lied to. A clear issue is not just that brands are not making sustainable changes, but they are misleading customers into thinking that they are. Transparency is key to keeping trust with customers. Many brands now have a page on their website called Transparency, where the information on where the product is made and what steps they're taking can be found, at least the facts they're willing to share. If a brand doesn't have a transparency page, it's safe to assume that they are not wanting to share that information because it's not good. So how are brands allowed to do this? There are many principles, but not many actionable laws that companies need to adhere to. The UCPD have recently focused their attention to greenwashing on business websites and found that 42% made false or deceptive claims on their environmental impact. Most of the time, there are no consequences for greenwashing, other than being caught in a lie and suffering the shame on social media. Some companies have been hit with class action and private lawsuits, such as Volkswagen for false testing on their carbon emissions, and recently Coca-Cola for branding themselves as sustainable while creating more plastic pollution than any other company. But as a whole, this issue is very unregulated and in most cases is considered a grey area. As consumers, it can be very daunting to choose which brands are the best to buy from. So what can we do to protect ourselves from misleading marketing? Watch out for buzzwords like all natural, green, or chemical free. These are non-specific labels and are not regulated, and they can be used by anyone. Check the website or label for more information to back up their claims. Check out the brand's transparency page. If a brand is making good changes, they will be eager to show customers, and if you can't find the page, it's safe to assume that they have nothing good to show. Look for third-party organizations that verify the brand's claims. Buy less. As consumers, the very best thing we can do is buy less and buy quality when we need to. It's also important as consumers to speak up when we know something is not right. The power is in our hands. We can choose to support ethical and sustainable brands and avoid greenwashing by not relying on marketing to sway our purchases, but look at the facts. Over everything else, buy quality over quantity and don't buy anything that you don't need. That is everything from me today. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. As always, a new episode will be up next Thursday. Please show me your support by liking, commenting, subscribing, whatever it is that you do. And I hope you have a lovely day. I'll see you next week, and remember to shop responsibly.